Welcome everyone to Just Onside. I'm your host Ahmed Badio Baghdadi, and I am joined by the villain of the piece himself, Ayub Patel. And we'll come on to why he's a villain in just a moment. But the other man joining us is the man that's catching strays, unfortunately, for Ayub's controversial opinion. Who is Ahmed?
Lovely intro, Badge. Thanks. I'm doing well. I think maybe we'll let Ayub lay out why he's the villain and perhaps why I've been catching some strays. I often think when Ayub shoots from the hip that we should comment that these are not views shared by the Just Onside community. And now I know why.
We discussed them before I make those statements.
Yeah. How do you feel about losing the key to the town of Luton?
Quite delighted.
But I feel like you need to give context where this stems from, this negativity.
It's quite straightforward. Obviously, what we're talking about is that we've got a Twitter account, and on that Twitter account, we've posted a short of comments that I've made about Luton, which I've made from the start of the season. Quite flippant comments. Most people see the comment for what it is, but for some reason today it went absolutely mental.
Mental, all right.
We've got, I think, 1.7 million views, still rising, and the vitriol. My goodness me! I made the foolish mistake of responding initially, which it was like pouring fuel onto a fire, so it made things worse. I've been called every name under the sun, and some of you viewers might actually notice there's been a change of position. There's two reasons. One is for the lighting, and B, some geezer made this comment about my wardrobe behind me being, what is it, a tenor from Argos, because he took umbrage at my comments at the dishevelled state of Luton Stadium. So he was pointing out that how dare somebody with such a cheap wardrobe is making comment about Luton Stadium.
Built in, baby.
But it's been absolutely wild. As I said, I've been called every name under the sun, but that's what it is. This is if you're prepared to make comments, then I'm quite prepared to listen to the response, even though it could be vitriolic. But I stand by my views on Luton. Even though some people thought I was backtracking, I stand firmly, steadfastly on the comments that I made about Luton.
So just to clarify, Badge, because I have to, Ayub suggested that Luton Town didn't deserve to be in the Premier League. He then posted a comment suggesting that they did deserve to be in the Premier League, and now he's suggesting that he steadfastly sticks to his original views. I don't know whether I'm coming or going.
This is why the viewers are confused. Ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you this man was not baiting anyone with his comments. I don't know what happy pills he had in the morning, but he was feeling too nice, and he responded in a way where he just set himself up.
Absolutely,
it looked like he was baiting, but he genuinely isn't. These are his views. That take is crazy, by the way, Ayub. let me just say that the fact that they don't deserve to be there. It's come through 90s. Come on.
Absolutely. I made a comment in the sense that they deserve to be on the basis
it's a Leeds fan. That's all it is.
There's a certain bitterness to it, but absolutely in terms of. If you finish, I think they finished, was it 5th or 6th in the Championship? So they weren't the third best side. They weren't via the playoffs. But in terms of the rules that exist in football at the moment, they are deservedly in the Premier League, only for one season. And they will finish with less than 10 points. And they will not win one game in the Premier League.
Less than 10 points?
Yeah. There's a lot of people who have bookmarked.
Gone down, mate.
Well, there's a lot of people who have bookmarked the tweet because I think they're going to come back to me. But I think when they come back to me, it won't be because Luton have won a game. It won't be because they've got more than 10 points. Because I am saying it right now that they will not get more than 10 points. Or they will get less than 10 points. Oh, we're on that confusing thing again.
Well, before we move on with this, just to let Ayub know and the viewers know, Luton's next 3 games are Wolves at home, Everton away, and Burnley at home.
0 points.
You could be in deep trouble, my friend.
0 points. Wolves, albeit they've not
Well,
got
I
the
think-
results, they're playing decent football.
But Ayub, you did,
Nilpois.
Ayub, you did say that if you're willing to dish it out, you're also willing to take it. And I think if in the event that Luton Town do pick up a win, contrary to what you believe, but if they do pick up a win, as Badge mentioned, in 3 fixtures that they'll have their eye on potentially to get that win, then I think you should also, give up some sort of not sacrifice, but there should be some sort of forfeit. Or
I'm quite happy.
Ooh,
What I will
let's
do
make
is
it
I'm quite
tasty.
prepared if they do win a game this season in the Premier League. I'm quite happy, maybe not immediately, but to travel to Luton and do one of our shows from Luton. From a secret destination, though.
And by the way, whoever in the comments was like, come on our podcast and, discuss with them Ayub's thoughts on Luton. You can have it. No problem.
And I've actually done that. In fact, what I have done is, before we started this show, I've actually replied to that tweet and said, right, if you're quite happy to have me, I'm more than happy to join your podcast.
There's also the account HLTCO. Big account on Twitter, Palace fan. Hey, if you want to trade opinions and statements with our boy or all of us, then feel free to get in touch and we will happily sit down and talk football.
But ultimately, as a final point, it's all about opinions. And that's what it is. It's my opinion. It's not gospel. And people are quite entitled to disagree with it, which obviously I think
we don't agree with it.
With 1.7 million
I was gonna say, unfortunately, by association, me and Badge have to also take
we
some
have to take some bullets.
take some bullets. But I
the
guess
amount of comments about boldness and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's like poor always, even though he's covering it with a hat, he didn't escape.
I was called a few uncomfortable names, but again, it's light entertainment. I take it for what it is.
Absolutely. And if you take it any more seriously than that, then there's something obviously wrong with you, because it's banter, albeit I believe in what I say.
And
the operative word being "I" in that sentence.
We.
But speaking of banter, I was getting a lot of it, obviously, from the weekend. I was not on the recording yesterday as I was busy actually playing football. So apologies to our viewers on that one. But my wild prediction, the optimism. I mean, I feel completely let down. If viewers don't know what I'm talking about, it's the United game. Man United's lost to Brighton 3-1. I had predicted a win for United. I genuinely thought there was going to be some bounce back from the international break. Hoyland's debut. I just thought there'd be good vibes, but oh boy, was I wrong. I just don't know what's going on with United at the moment, fellas. It's a toxic environment, and the problem is the environment itself is probably not as bad as what the media makes out to be. I feel like they've absolutely pounce anytime anything goes wrong at United, anything of any kind of significance, it's always blown out of proportion. In this case, I'm not blowing it out of proportion. United are only on 6 points in the league. But, I mean, you're seeing something every day with regards to leaks, or I feel like some things are just purely made up for clickbait. But just going off the weekend, again, if you remember when we did the predictions for the Arsenal game, I was expecting Arsenal to beat us by 3-0 it was. Yeah, it was 3-1 in the end. But it was, the point being, the chances United give away to teams, like, it's so easy. It's so easy. The Pascal Gross goal where Lamptey just walks into the box, strolls in, no challenge whatsoever. These are the kind of chances we're giving away. So it shouldn't be a surprise, really, that we're conceding 3 to Brighton. Brighton, who can play pretty much anyone off the park, let's be honest. Superb from them. All the credit in the world to them. But for us, I feel like Rashford has a big target on his back from the United fan base as well. On the ball...
Why is that, do you think, Badge?
I feel like they need to vent their frustration somewhere, the fans. When I think Ten Hag's catching a lot of flack from certain areas of the fan base. You could say rightly so. And then there's Rashford. I think out of all the players, I think Rashford at the moment is catching the most flack. And honestly, it's not to do with what he does on the ball. It's what you see off the ball and his lack of pressing, his lack of trying to win a ball back when some of his other teammates are pressing. I think that just lingers with fans and they're frustrated anyway. So they just want to direct their anger somewhere. But some people suggest that we should drop him and play without him. I think once he's not there, you'll realize how big a loss he is. But it's just not a nice time to be a United fan.
I mean, you're talking about all these problems. What are the solutions? What needs to happen? What does Ten Hag need to do? Because ultimately, he's in charge of the team.
100%. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I back the manager at this point, but he still makes bad decisions. Like we finished that game with Bruno Fernandes playing right centre back. I mean, that's insane. Given he's our biggest creative outlet. He should not be finishing the game at right centre back, whatever happens. And then there's a lot of the fans were upset. I've not heard a reaction like that in a long time when Højlund got taken off with about half an hour to go. In the moment, I can see why you'd be really angry at that and why. I mean, you're 2 goals down. You need to get a goal, and you're taking your big summer signing, your main striker off. But he is not fit to play 90 minutes. That is the fact. In the moment, I can see why people get angry, but if you calm down, think about it, and look at it, he's not there. He couldn't play the 90. But Ten Hag still has responsibility, the way we're playing. To be fair, we started the game really well. We were playing good football. But as soon as Brighton figured out we were playing the diamond, they adjusted, brought Welbeck back in. As soon as they figured it out and started playing, we couldn't touch him, couldn't get close to him. Erik ten Hag has a way he wants to play. He's still not being able to implement it. I think some fault lies with him, some fault lies with the players. I think today, again, more news broke just before we got on and did this podcast, actually, about Harry Kane and how he was Ten Hag's priority signing this summer. But Joel Glazer and Richard Arnold deemed he was not a worthy signing for United given his age, and it won't be smart to sign him. And I'm like, you just spent 70 million on Casemiro, who's 30 last year. So where's the logic in this? But yeah, these are the kind of things that are coming out. And it does start at the top. It starts with the ownership and it is trickling down to the club. To the squad with Ten Hag and the players. But big improvements are needed, and they're needed quick, because I think Thomas Tuchel, sorry, I'm rambling on for quite a while.
No, this is why we wanted to hear from you.
Yeah.
Get it off your chest.
Well, Thomas Tuchel in his pre-match conference as well today, he's been talking about the pressures at United and how things are blown way. They exaggerated more, and everything's more of a drama, more drama. Everything's blown out of proportion at United compared to other clubs. Like Chelsea having even worse season than us. Pochettino has got a bigger job than they spent more money, but literally you see articles online where it's like, oh, don't worry about it. Chelsea are still under the right man. They're playing the right way. Whereas you see a United article and it's just, you think the world's about to end.
But you think, I mean, towards the end of last season, United seemed to be on some sort of run. It seemed as if a corner had been turned. Ten Hag seemed to be implementing his ideas. So what's happened? That's what I can't understand. I could understand if last season was quite a shocking season. Yeah. Last season looked as if you'd finally got the right coach. Things were falling into place, but this season it's almost as if you've gone 3 steps back.
Yeah, if you think about it, though, again, targets not being landed correctly on time, or not getting your primary targets in the summer. Then you have the whole Greenwood, is he coming back? Is he not? Then you have the Sancho situation. Then you have the Anthony situation. It's not like he's had a clean break and it's been a nice, quiet summer. He's got all the players he wants. He's got the squad where he wants, and they've managed to go. There's been something going wrong week in, week out, and it's ridiculous for fans because the sense of frustration is crazy. Because the takeover as well. Now they're talking about it could still be going through. It's like when's all this going to happen? But like I say, it trickles down to the squad as well. I think that's where the sense of frustration grows. I would hate to be honestly, bar out of the top 6 clubs in England, bar Chelsea, I would not want. United job is just oof. It's not one you'd want right now. Like I don't think anyone would want to be in Ten Hag's shoes right now. It gets horrific for United managers because the pressure, the media, the way they hone in on you, it's just different. You won't get that at any other club. It's just,
But that's the nature of the beast at Man United, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
any manager who coaches Man United is aware of what the expectations are. I mean, you commented that it trickles down. In what way does it impact the players? Because I have reservations as to whether it impacts the players as much. I with Greenwood, with Anthony, that's nothing that the coach can do. But with Sancho, that to me is a concern because here is supposedly a high quality player. Why on earth is Ten Hag not able to get the best out of this guy?
Well, I think after a while, once you get the coach has given you chances. He's given you time off. He's giving you time to get better, get fit, get ready for the season. Well, second half of last season, and now coming into the new season, he still gave him ample opportunities. It's just a case of if end of the day is down to the player, and if their head's in the game, they're going to make it work. If it's not going to happen. And I think that's what's happened with Sancho. I think I think there was like suggestions under Ole that he would get in no matter what, even if he was a bad trainer, he would get in. And if that is the standard that's been set for him, then going forward, if there's more asked from him, and he's asked to perform better in training, better than thing, he's in a way where I should be starting. They feel entitled. And I think that's what's gone wrong with Sancho. He feels like he doesn't want to be confronted. He doesn't want to be pushed, potentially. So it seems from the outside looking in. That is how it seems, and he's not reacted well to it. And hey, I'm with the manager. If you're not up to scratch, in training, and you're not pulling up trees in game, I mean, how many chances do you want? Honestly,
it's a
tricky one. That just on quickly before you go. I think Ferguson was. It wasn't a one size fits all. I think there were certain players that had certain different standards of behavior or standards of sort of treatment. I think Cantona was notoriously treated differently to other players. So therefore, a great coach, a good coach, it's not a case of right, this is the way that I will approach every single individual. Sancho at Dortmund, he was outstanding. So somewhere along the line, something has gone dramatically wrong.
Some players just don't work out. It is what it is. It's not like he's not had an arm around his shoulder. I mean, look at last season. Ten Hag protected him really well in front of the media. When he gave him his time off, he literally did not question him at all. He's given him time, go get fit. Even when he came back, arm around him, he was delighted for him. He was happy for him. At the end of the day, it comes to a point where you've got to look at yourself and you got to stop performing. At no point in Sancho's career at United has he had a sustained run of good performances. And for the money he came at, for the potential he came in with, after a while, you've got to start looking at yourself. It is what it is.
Yeah, just on the Sancho point, Ayub, the only thing I would say about Ferguson, you mentioned about Sir Alex Ferguson, what you're referring to there is the ability to deal with different characters. What Erik ten Hag was speaking about with regards to Jadon Sancho was his standard in training. And I would imagine that there was no compromise with regards to the standard of training, even during Alex Ferguson's time. It's different about personalities off the field, colourful characters and what have you. He had certain characters, Lee Sharp, another one that springs to mind, right? There are certain characters he'll treat a certain way and keep an eye on certain, and there's those who will be like first one in training, last one out, and all the rest of it. So I think the situation with Sancho, in my opinion, is very simple. Football now, especially in the Premier League, I think it is the most competitive league in the world in terms of just the some may argue, well, Man City have won the league 5 or 6. I'm talking about the kind of overall competition within the league. And I think at times you speak about his form for Borussia Dortmund. football moves fast and you've got to update your resume. And
100%.
in the end, it's all very well saying he was a premier talent in Europe. He was just like Bellingham was at Dortmund in terms of an incredibly sought after young phenom, let's say. But in the end, you've still got to go out there. You've still got to perform consistently, and more so than ever, because the league is getting more and more competitive in the sense of, I remember when Spain were dominating, there was this kind of influence of, well, we need more technical players. And then there was kind of the athletic side. And then you needed athletes because the game's getting so fast. And now I feel you need a combination of both. If you're not technical and you're not athletic, you're going to find yourself wanting in this Premier League. So it's just, if you're not working hard and if you're not grafting, this league can quickly leave you very, very quickly in terms of just the standard that you need to keep up with, right? Fabinho at Liverpool looks a very good, dominant, probably 12 months before Carragher's talking about him being the best defensive midfielder. All of a sudden, 12 months later, you're thinking he's immobile. He can't even run around. He can't move. So the game can quickly pass you by. The only thing I would say about Ten Hag, you spoke about how he finished last season. I think I'd just be wary of the sweeping statement. It's been 5 games. They've played Arsenal, Spurs, and Brighton. Yes, you don't want to lose all 3. I think we would all accept that. But that's a tricky 3 out of 5. If you look at the fixtures they've got to come, I think that's the one blessing they have. Burnley, Palace, Brentford, Sheffield United. That's the next 4. They've got to fancy picking up some points, hopefully going unbeaten in that stretch, maybe picking up 3 wins and a draw, maybe 4 wins, and who knows. Their form would suggest not. Burnley have got a week to prepare, whilst United have got to obviously go to Munich tomorrow and play a tough Champions League game. But I just think that's the one little saving grace that in amongst all this noise, and Badge, you mentioned it, more leaks today, talk about bust-ups, about his connections to Case Voss, the agent with the Sports Entertainment Group, and his role in some of the transfers and all the rest of it. I just think that's the one little saving grace. They've got an opportunity to turn this around. And I always say this, if you win games, all of a sudden the mood, starts to turn and starts to lift. So let's see how it turns out.
Saying that as well, last season we had Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, all coming in, all settling in straight away, being brilliant. This season, they've both been shadows of their former selves, if I'm being honest. Martinez has been very poor compared to the standards he set in his first season. Same goes for Casemiro. Casemiro looks like he's struggling in that middle of the park. We're hoping Amrabat comes in and alleviates some pressure from him and can help him out in there. But
it'll be interesting though, Badge, isn't it? Because Amrabat, when you watch him, when he plays for his national team as well as Fiorentina, from what I've seen of him, he's a very deep-lying midfielder. He collects the ball off the centre-backs, and Casemiro's never not played in that type of position. If you think about his best years, it's him, Modric in the middle, and Kroos, right? It'll be very interesting whether United they might be a little tougher perhaps to work through, but I wonder whether there will be a compromise in their attacking play, because I've never seen Casemiro. I mean, he gets forward and gets goals off set pieces and he breaks into the box pretty decent, to be fair, for a defensive midfielder, but it's not what I would call his stock in trade in terms of him doing that consistently. So if they do play the both of them, maybe in big games I could see, but there will be some compromise, you would imagine.
I think he's also been brought in as a rotation option for Casemiro at 6. So there will be that as well. There'll be times they play together. There'll be times he Casemiro swaps out for Amrabat. So it'll be interesting to see. But going on to the Champions League, that game's going to be difficult. And I don't know if you guys watched it, Bayern and Bayer Leverkusen on Friday night. Bayern, you can get at them. You can get them. They will give you chances. They are not as cohesive as they've been in the past, whether it's with their defending or their attacking. But the problem is United are going to give you chances as well. And the chances, you can't. I'm just trying to... I'm just dreading it. I'm dreading it because you're giving the likes of Sane, Kane, Gnabry, Muller, Musiala. If we give the chances that we've been given week in, week out to those kind of players, it's going to be a long, long night. So I'm not optimistic about this one. I was about Brighton. I wanted to say...
You're not going to win now.
Honestly, man. Honestly, I can't go into this optimistic. I want to be surprised, but I'm thinking a Bayern Munich win. I can't see anything past it at the moment. Like I said, though, they are not great at the moment either, so we can get at them. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on Bayern and Champions League as a whole, given the teams in there this season. Who you think will potentially prevail? I mean, an early shout for the winner, and which English teams will go further?
I'll let you go first because I can. I can have a guess that there might be another mention of a famous Ivory Coast midfielder.
The curse has been lifted. Man City, I can't see. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It never is. This is the Champions League, but I can't see anybody apart from Manchester City winning the Champions League again.
I think for myself, I did have a long think about this. I think Manchester City do have to be the favourites. You can't make us. This is
that's fine. They're favourites, but who do you think will win?
I think Man City will do it again. I think Man City will do it again. I'm picking a PSG Man City final. Only on the condition that PSG avoid Real and Man City somehow along the way to the final, because I can't see PSG overcoming those two teams, and I would fancy Man City to beat PSG in the final, simply for one reason and one reason only, and it's probably why I might want to revisit my Premier League title predictions as well now. But it's their footballing style, their identity is so well ingrained now. It's just too. There's no softness, there's no weakness right now in terms of the football they play. There absolutely isn't. The Doku addition, adding pace, trickery, direct play to their game. I think I read a statistic that he had the most take-ons in the French league last year, I believe it was. So I mean, you saw it against West Ham. He was one of the most threatening players. So he'll be a big addition, I think, just in terms of just something a bit different to what they've currently got. And then De Bruyne to return once he's back from his injury. Haaland. There's not a team. You can't make a case for a team ahead of Man City, in my opinion. Not a justified one. No. They're too consistent across the board, solid at the back, incredible midfield players, the most deadly marksman in European football. Even though he's missing a couple of sitters, but he's still got a ton of goals already. So Man City, PSG for me in the final, if PSG avoid the Real and Man City. And yeah, from an overarching prediction, that would be the way I would have to go. What about yourself, Badge?
I'm looking at the teams. I'm like, who can I pick above City here? I mean, realistically, they are the favourites. Let's not get it twisted. But I mean, Real Madrid are always going to be in the conversation, especially now with Jude Bellingham. I honestly, if Real had gotten Kane, then I would say Real Madrid would be favourites. But they didn't, so they're not. But I mean, Bayern Munich, surely, I know, regardless of what I just said, but they've got to be looking at winning the Champions League. Got to be. Signing Harry Kane.
I think there's a number of teams obviously looking at winning
No, but come on. Look at the strength of their team. Like, they've got options everywhere.
They are, but let's answer the question, Badge. Are they a better team than Manchester City?
No, they're not. Man City are going to be the favourites.
There you go, then.
Man City are going to be the favourites.
Who's going to win it?
Hey, the favourites always win it. Exactly.
Yeah. So stop waffling, Badge. Give us a name.
I don't have an answer. I'm waffling.
Now, bear in mind, you did argue that Kevin De Bruyne should have been Player of the Year ahead of Haaland, and that was probably one of the worst takes. So go on, just before you give another
that's
one.
Not the most outrageous take. Come on now.
Well, not on just Onside. That would belong to you.
No, but if anyone was going to run him close, it'd be KDB, innit? Let's be honest.
You can't just pick who's going to win, just the drop of a hat, just like pick a name out. You've got to give this some considered thought, and it's Man City. You're just trying to find another name now. That's all it is.
Get a move on. I want to watch the Newcastle game.
Real Madrid. I'm going with Real Madrid.
I think the challenge with Real is...
There's no challenge. They're the best.
No, they're a great team, but as much as they have an incredible midfield, to be fair, and a lot of, I would say, trickery, pace, strength in the middle of the park as well now with Bellingham, Tchouaméni, still Kroos and Modric and what have you there. But you still have to fancy the striker. I mean, José Lu scored at the weekend, but you feel
that's
like
where they lack.
Yeah, you feel like if that's over 2 legs against a Man City, you wax lyrical about that performance that they had last season. You've got a fancy City. But yeah, listen, Real.
Also, I genuinely feel like Arsenal will get far. I don't think they'll win, but I do think they'll go far because I'm looking at these teams. I don't see a lot of teams that want to play Arsenal, to be honest. And I can see them beating most of these names, so I can see them getting far. Watch them not get out of the group now. That'd be the best kiss of death ever.
Well, just very quickly, I think the way Arsenal play, if they it doesn't come down to injuries. Everyone picks up injuries, right? I think the Timber injury was a big one. I really like what I saw from him early doors. I think he would have fit into many a good team, to be fair. I was thinking, especially for Liverpool, looking for cover for Alexander-Arnold. Can you imagine Timber at kind of right back? But if you look at their group, PSV are top of the table in the Dutch league, won all 4 of their games. But Lens are currently bottom of the French league, actually bottom, 18th. And Sevilla, who I know Badge is kind of your 3rd or 4th favorite team. You do like them a little bit.
Oh,
so,
I hate Sevilla.
Only because they beat you last time. But
don't come at me. Don't come at me, Sevilla.
Yeah, we're all right. I think I'm not sure how much this podcast gets into foreign shows, but no, Sevilla 1-1, lost 3. So I think I do fancy, actually, interestingly, all English teams to get through. I fancy United the tricky thing for United...
Wow, you fancy Newcastle to get out of that group as well?
Honestly, I'll give you my quick reasons. City are going to win their group. I think we're all agreed there. Arsenal, right. I fancy Arsenal PSV, in my opinion. I think just to sneak through. That's just my opinion. Dortmund, PSG, Newcastle, Milan. Interesting.
What? Oh, did you just name the
group? Sorry. The group. So there's a group of death, isn't it? It's the Dortmund, PSG, Milan, Newcastle. I just fancy Newcastle to come through second. The only reason being, and this might age very well, given that they're playing away to Milan as we speak, but I fancy them to get a couple of draws in some of the grounds that they need. I think they'll be strong at home. I think they can just sneak second behind PSG. Milan, a little bit of disarray after the weekend humiliation once again.
Shocking result
at the hands of Inter Milan. A little bit of...
They were flying as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's one team that they struggle to beat, having lost 5 in a row now against Inter Milan. Manager refusing to apologise to the fans. Dortmund also, I think they're 7th at the moment. I just fancy Newcastle. I think they are... just sneak through in second. And I think United, although Copenhagen are first in the Danish league, Galatasaray second. So that's not a gimme. Those two teams are doing okay.
Horrible away again, yeah.
But I fancy United just to sneak through second. I do think Bayern will top the group, though.
We're going to have to fix up, I'll be honest. We are going to have to fix up if we are to progress. Ayub? Oh, you've already said City. Never mind.
Oh, that's all he cares about. He cares about City.
Yeah, I was just checking the Milan score, Milan-Newcastle.
Yeah, I was thinking, I fancy Newcastle to get a draw, and now they'll lose like 3-0 or something.
No, it's still 0-0, according to BBC.
Yeah, but just on your point about Arsenal, Badge, I think the type of football they play will be interesting to see how they fare with the Champions League, right? You know, there's this kind of... They play a very European style in some ways.
Yeah, they do.
Very cautious. You think over 2 legs, they have this ability to control games, but this is the Premier competition. If they get through, get a lucky draw, could I see them getting to the quarters? Yeah, maybe. But I think once you play some of the big boys, then it gets real, and it gets real quick. So it'll be interesting to see how they...
lack of faith?
I wouldn't say a lack of faith, but you know, it's... I saw some odds where they were like 4th favourites, and I was like, come on. It's the first time in 8 years or something.
Yeah. And you know what? We've not even mentioned Barcelona. Barcelona could do bits. They've got an easy group, so I expect them to advance from that without any problems, really. And then dependent on the draw, you never know. You never know. Barca could be back. But anyways, guys, that will wrap up that. And hopefully hopefully you won't take a dump on any of the fan base, but we're here if he does. It's no problem. Me and Uwais will shield you from all criticism. And again, guys, if you've got a problem with anything Ayub has to say, feel free to attack him and not.
We're a collective.
I was gonna say, Badge, that when we do finally release this episode, I might just put his Twitter handle at the bottom as well, so they can direct.
I think they've got it because I did respond to some, so I think they have got my Twitter handle. I've got about 300 replies, so they know how many gets hold of me.
How many obscenities in those 300 replies?
I think 299.
But
my family will respond with obscenities.
I was gonna say, yeah, exactly. Good stuff.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Where were we?
The end of the show.
I'm wrapping up.
Subscribe, all that kind of stuff.
I was thinking of a response that you got, Ayub. That's what threw me off. The one about when you said Luton don't deserve the PL. He doesn't deserve air.
There was some amidst the racism, the absolute bile. There were some real funny comments. So thank you so much.
Remember, guys, follow our Twitter page because it is going off, and we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you. That is at Just Onside Pod. If you want to add to the 1.7 mil views, feel free. If you want to chime in, and if you got any other jokes about the wardrobe or his head, no problem. Let us know. Comment section. And remember, guys, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Leave a comment in the YouTube. Leave a comment in the leave a comment in the comments. I'm really butchering this. My God.
Yeah.
The energy levels are just all over the show. But yeah, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the app, and we will catch you on the next one. In the meantime, don't stray.